Hello and thanks for joining me. I'm doing a front brake master cylinder build this afternoon and I just thought it might be worth videoing it. It's a job which I do relatively frequently, and it's actually a very simple job, but it's one of those jobs which if you've never done it, might seem a little bit intimidating, taking the brake system apart. So I thought it's worth just getting the camera out, making this video. Then you can watch what I'm doing, and hopefully then if you've never done it and you have to do it sometime in the future, it'll give you a little bit more confidence to give it a go when you see how easy it is. So this is a BrakTec master cylinder, and it's off my Beta 300cc two-stroke. But the way these master cylinders are built, they're all very, very similar. So first job, so I've taken the master cylinder, disconnected, so that's where the brake line goes down to the caliper. So I disconnected that. That's the clamp to the handlebar there. So I've taken it off the handlebar. So first job is I'm going to just take the lever off. This is, you can see, one of these adjustable levers for it, with it being a dirt bike, so it sort of gives you a bit more flexibility in terms of not breaking the lever when you fall off. So just remove the brake lever. So that's an Allen key bolt. Nothing's tight because with it being a dirt bike, I have this apart quite frequently and grease everything up. Sorry you can't see what I'm doing, but I'm just undoing the Allen key. So there's nothing seized up on it, but I will make sure that I re-grease everything again before I put it all back together. So remove the lever, and just so I don't leave it, I'll put the bolt and the little lock nut back on there. Okay, so I'm not going to open up the reservoir. Obviously I'll have to open that up when I put it back on to bleed the system, but I'm just wanting to get into the piston and the cylinder, which is on the hit and the end here. So let me see, if I just turn it there, you can see that's the best angle. There's this little rubber boot here that covers up the end of the piston, so I'm just going to get a pick and get that under the edge of it and lever that off like that. So you'll see now inside here, and I said there's variations between them, but they're all pretty much the same. There is a spring here, that's to push this back out, and then inside this boot there's a little rod with I don't know if you can see that. There's a little rod inside that boot, and that then pushes against the end of the piston, which is here just inside the cylinder. Let's get that in nice and close. Right, so that's the end of the piston there. And so the idea of this little boot is it acts as a dust cover, keeps all the dirt and dust out of the cylinder. Some don't have that kind of dust boot on it. It causes problems. So for example, some Harley Davidsons, I've worked on Harley Davidsons where they don't have them, and then you get dirt and muck in the end of the cylinder here, which causes corrosion, which stops the piston from moving freely. Anyway, try and hold this still, the camera. You see there's an internal circlip in there, and then underneath that circlip there's a washer. So I need to remove that circlip. So I've got some internal circlip pliers here. We pull that off, that's the circlip out and the washer. And because the piston is on a spring, the push piston comes out, and that will just come out now. And there you see, there's the piston and the piston and spring assembly. So that's the piston. There's two washers on there, and then there's a spring on the end that goes inside against the end of the cylinder, and that's what pushes the piston back, returns it back when you release the brake. So when I take these apart, the first thing I always do is just check the bore of the cylinder there and just make sure everything is okay down the bore. It's quite a narrow bore on this, it being quite a small brake. I'm going to have a good look in there with a magnifying glass in just a second, but just a glance for an eye, it looks fine, does that. Okay, so I've got a service kit. Just move all these bits out of the way. I don't need any of them because here's the service kit, and that's a proper BrakTec service kit, and you can see it contains in the bag there all of the parts that I've just taken out. So there's the little rubber boot there, there's the spring that goes, it's that rod, there's the piston assembly with the two washers on, then the spring all reassembled, there's the big washer and the circlip. So in the service kit for this particular brake, you get everything, so I don't need to use any of the parts. So I'm just going to clean out the inside of the cylinder there and give that a little inspection, and then I'll be back with you for reassembly. Okay, I've just had a look, and that it's absolutely beautiful. But this bike is it's only 4 years old, and of course with it being a dirt bike, it doesn't do very high mileage, so you know it's not had that great deal of use. So I would expect it to be fine. So right, those are all my parts. I've just got a little bit of brake fluid here to lubricate things as I put it together. So just put a little bit of brake fluid here, those seals, and then that is going in there. Just being very careful not to damage anything as it goes in. There we are, we're in. Right, and then we've got this little silver washer, which goes, I'm not sure how well you're going to see things with me pressing everything down with my thumb, and then the circlip. I'll get my circlip pliers again. Push that in, and then just make sure that that circlip is seated. I can see it's not seated that side, you just hear it go in. There we go. So that's it all back together. So now just clean around there. So there is just a little bit of residue brake fluid from when I assembled it. Okay, so now we get the rubber boot, put the little spring inside that on the rod, push that in, make sure that's sitting on the inside of the end. There's a little cup on the end of the piston, and then get that little rubber boot, and I'm just doing it with my fingers or my thumbs so I don't damage anything. Get that seated in. Right, there we are. Just going to fiddle with that a little bit more. It's in there, but I just want to make sure that it's absolutely 100% there. That's sat nicely. So that is it. That's the master cylinder serviced. So put it back on the bike and bleed it, and we're done. So very, very quick and easy. Hope you can see. I hope that's give you a little bit more confidence to have a go at that job if you've never done it. Thanks a lot for watching. Give me a like, subscribe to the channel if you enjoy this kind of thing. Thanks a lot. See you again soon. Bye.